Jungle. Audio Jungle.
I mean, I've got some points that I picked from the previous speaker, and also something that I wanted to add as my own observations. I'll start with what the previous speaker mentioned about, maybe Mnangagwa should have been explicit in terms of the side that he was going to pick, if I heard that correctly. I mean, he could have done that, or he could have decided to sit on the fence, which he did. But the way Mnangagwa explained himself, because I understand from his perspective, he didn't want to be seen to be taking a side, because probably he didn't want to offend Trump, or he didn't want to be seen to be siding with somebody that would create enemies for him. But it's the manner that he explained it. It's the words, that the choice of his words, that doesn't sit very well with a man of stature. That was a global stage where you need some very good oratory skills, very, very good choice of words. And yes, you're allowed to sit on the fence, but do it with with eloquency. Do it with with using statesman-like language. The way he was talking, you'd think it is Arpa Rally Bora or something, and even the way he sits, the way he talks, the way he faces the camera, it doesn't ooze confidence on. And I've seen a lot of Zimbabweans who are discussing this on all media platforms. If you feel that you're being represented very well by your president, if you feel that Zimbabwe is being represented very well based on the way Mnangagwa conducted himself, then tichiri kure as Zimbabweans. That's not how you speak. Mugabe had a lot of enemies within Zimbabwe and outside Zimbabwe. But when that man speaks, whether you agree with what he's saying or not, he spoke with conviction. He could easily win supporters that have never heard of him. He could easily convince, he could easily convince people to listen to him. I remember when we used to listen to Mugabe's speeches, when he was attending UN General Assemblies. The man spoke with a lot of conviction. There was a lot of substance in what he was saying. Even when people were against the way land reform was conducted, Mugabe could gain support from Jamaica, Nigeria. And I'm not talking about heads of state. I'm talking about ordinary people. It was so easy for you're walking on the street, and people ask you, where are you from? You mention Zimbabwe, and the next thing that person says is Mugabe. It was because of the way he was selling Zimbabwe to the outside world. And I know that also came with a lot of bad publicity to the mainstream media. But I'm talking about the style of talking. In Mnangagwa, it's very, you could easily feel embarrassed for him. You could feel embarrassed for the people of Zimbabwe. And even other African heads of state, they would also feel that what are you saying? What are you talking about? If you look at the way South Africa is is tackling the global issues. For example, the Palestine, the American foreign policy. You can see that there is a method to it. You can see that there is structure to it, and you can see there is direction. You know, you can see that it's something that you can put and at the table and critically analyze what is going on, whether it is benefiting South Africa or whether it is not. But it's there's substance to it. Whereas our president, he's talking like he's joking. I don't know whether you actually take him seriously that, oh, Venezuela is very, very far away from us. What are you talking about? Even the people who were laughing in the background. I know a lot of people are trying to say, oh, maybe he didn't want to be put on the spot. He was trying to avoid a hot issue. There is a way and there's a method of avoiding issues or topics that you don't want to be drawn into. You don't just laugh it off when you are in at that point, at that kind of a platform, because the speaker will come back to you. Can you really explain yourself? Are you talking about you're too far away, as in distance, miles, or you're far away, as in you don't even understand what's happening to the outside world? You know, he talks about Zimbabwe being part of the global family. He talks about Zimbabwe being open for business, but he doesn't want to discuss issues that affects everyone, that affects every nation. You know, I am not suggesting in any way that he should have said, "Oh, I condemn what America did," or "I sympathize with Venezuela." He could have just, chose. I'm sure within his cabinet or within his communications office, there are people that are are um, well educated. They understand what's happening, the global issues. And I don't know whether when he left, he was briefed about what that meant and what topics to discuss and what words to use. And then from what I've heard from people, close to him, sometimes he's given a speech and he doesn't stick to the script. He just goes off the tangent, and he's so used to addressing Marale Zimbabwe, so he doesn't know how to separate issues and subjects and what language to use with what type of audience he has. Because when you are using the language that you use, kana uri kurali yeku Faro Stadium, is different from the language that you use when you're addressing uh, African Union, when you're addressing UN General Assembly. There are certain places where Zimbabwe has to be seen to be a serious country, where Zimbabwe has to be seen to be an important partner to the global family. I don't think, with the way he was speaking, Zimbabwe is seen as important. When Mugabe was president, there was a lot of negative publicity about Zimbabwe. BBC, CNN, um, all the American channels, they were all, pouncing on Zimbabwe, talking about all the negative stuff. But that put Zimbabwe on the map. Everyone became interested. Everybody wanted to know what's going on in Zimbabwe. And it gave people a chance to explain what's really going on in Zimbabwe. But what we are doing now, munhu akabvuta masimba asingagona kushandisa. Munhu akabvuta motikari asingagona kudrive. And mota iringoroverwa ichingobonderwa ichingonzi ndeyangu. And you've got people who are on the side roads cheering and saying, "Oh, he's very clever, he's very smart." When are we going to have a serious debate that is not based on which party you support? We're just looking at our president in principle, not his personality. We're looking at the presidency in principle. What principles is he following? Because what he showed today is that he's not a principled leader. Because The thing with your views can change, your friends can change, right? The way you look at the world can change, but what should never change are your principles. Zimbabwe has always been, since Mugabe years, stood up for independence, sovereignty, you know, anti-imperialism and everything. That has never changed. But what Mnangagwa is doing now, by not seeing America as the aggressor, he's chosen to change the principles because of who is involved. And that does not speak very well with the principles of ZANU-PF and the principles of of a leader. And it was actually very, very embarrassing to see. And I hope one day Zimbabweans will be able to go back to the drawing board and be able to debate, be able to analyze and see, you know, where we are as a country. Thank you.
Right. Okay. I am seeing a collage of responses. I don't know where they've been taken, but it's a collage of responses that have been put together. The one, I think it's 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 coming from it's coming from Zim Papers. So Gutizo, I would understand what they would write, what they would put. So I just want to read, since it's tisiri kunzwawo vamwe vari kuuya vachisapota president, like support. Saka this is what people this is what this collage is saying. Kune anonzi hanzi fei mal ik vanhu vakomenda kuti my president wisdom overflowing with AI these days. That was the best answer ever. Mumwe anonzi Stephen Ponongwe akati the answer was very clean and smart. He calculates the mind of the journalist and give him the appropriate answer. Thumbs up, Your Excellency. Apostle B. Johnson CBM akati, oh, enough respect to Mr. President. Wise response. Zvikanzi naStuart Chipani, chibaba icho sando dzenyu mukuru. Zvikanzi naCarl Caesar, they tried to catch him off guard, but they failed. Well done, Your Excellency. What a diplomatic and yet very intelligent response. Zvikanzi naMukoma Joe Smoke, wise answer chamisa hakwana apa.